Let's see how Louise is getting on. She's landed in the village of East Kirkby. Her destination, the Lincolnshire Aviation Heritage Centre. The museum is a memorial to the men of Bomber Command. During World War II, they carried out vital and strategic bombing incursions over enemy territory. The airmen faced terrible odds, with over 44% losing their lives. Many of their dangerous missions would have been flown in one of these, the iconic Lancaster bomber.
Do please bear in mind the fuselage narrows as we go forward.
Mark Chandler is here to tell Louise about some of the aircrew who would have flown in this historic aircraft.
They were all manner of men. They came from the four corners of the globe and were of all races, colours, creeds and beliefs. Many came from the occupied countries of Europe who had escaped the Germans, determined to fight them back on their own terms.
I know a lot of these bombers were shot down during the Second World War. What happened to the men that were on board?
In the vast majority of cases, of course, they died. Others were captured and became prisoners of war, but there was a percentage that managed to evade the clutches of the enemy and make it back to the UK.
Aircrew were trained to evade capture if downed in occupied Europe. But to get back to Blighty would have required some ingenious kit.
These are silk escape maps. These were issued to all airmen who went on operations over Europe. It could even be worn as a scarf or as a handkerchief. Mainly it wasn't, it was concealed in the battle dress pocket. As well as these maps, which could and couldn't be useful, they took some reading on a dark night when it was raining, were the escape money. This was genuine currency that had come out of the Bank of England that had been purchased before the war. Flying boots. Inside the right boot is a small knife in a pouch, which was designed to cut the tops from the bottoms. That left the evading, escaping airmen with a pair of perfect Oxford shoes.
As useful as this equipment was, escape was only possible with help from the brave members of the resistance movement across Europe. Civilians risked their own lives assisting downed Allied aircrew get back to Britain. One man needing rescue was Sergeant Ron Emeny.
Now Ron was shot down in May 1944 attacking a panzer training unit south of Paris at Mail-le-Camp. He bailed out at 11:45 that night, 3rd of May, through a sea of flame in the fuselage and was badly burned by the time he hit the ground. One of his crew stayed with him and they managed to leave the burning Lancaster and hide in a crypt in a churchyard. There they were found by an elderly couple doing their allotment who handed them on to their son, who was a member of the resistance.
The couple who helped Ron faced grave consequences if caught: interrogation, torture and concentration camps. Luckily for downed British airmen, people were willing to take the risk.
This was their way. Assisting evading airmen was their way of fighting the Germans back and their contribution to the war. Eventually he was deemed fit to move and he was handed over to the Comet Escape Line, a network of underground units that had organised themselves into a cohesive line of escape. It took great courage, it took real calmness to do this, and we must bear in mind a lot of the people doing it had not yet reached 20.
It was in this group of people that Ron placed his faith, and once he'd sufficiently recovered, made a bid for freedom.
He made his way down to the Pyrenees, where a Basque mountain guide guided them over the mountains, down into Spain, to the British Embassy, and arrived back in the UK in mid-June 1944.
After the war, many successful evaders, including Ron, made pilgrimages to visit the people who'd helped them.
Many airmen have said to me, despite what they'd gone through, when they came into the hands of these people, they learned the true meaning of humility and courage and remained in their debt for the rest of their lives.